Good morning, students. I am Ram Reddy Sangala, lecturer in physics. Today we are going to discuss the first year topic, one of the chapters in first year, that is thermodynamics, chapter number 13. Before we start discussing thermodynamics, we'll just let me recollect the topics we discussed in the earlier topics. Previous topics, you might have discussed about heat and then various forms of heats, how heat will be converted into various other forms, and how heat is measured, and then temperature, heat, etc. Isn't it? Okay. So in this chapter, thermodynamics, the name thermo means here heat. So dynamics, purely dynamics, if you discuss, it's a mechanics part. So motion, movement of the objects under the influence of external force we study. But in this case, thermodynamics, here the thermodynamic variables, how they get altered, change with heat, like temperature, pressure, and the volume of a system. Before we get into the actual topic, let me introduce the topics that we are going to get quite often in the chapter. First of all, the very first term system quite often it will be repeated. What is a system? And then what is surroundings? What do you mean by surroundings? And then various associated topics related to the system and then surroundings, etc. Now, basically, system thermodynamics, right? So before we start discussing about this system, so thermodynamics, so it's a branch of physics which deals with the conversion of heat energy into mechanical work and vice versa, right? That branch of physics where we discuss the conversion of heat energy into mechanical work and vice versa, or the conversion of heat energy into various other forms like light energy, then chemical energy, and then electrical energy, etc. So simple raw example, during winter season, if you rub your palms rigorously like this, heat will be generated, warmed up, isn't it? It's quite often. Similarly, in peak winter season, so what do we do? Our body, if it is not properly covered, so what happens? Shivering takes place. It's a natural process of increasing the temperature or warmness, right? Isn't it? Everybody might have experienced it at one point of the time or not, isn't it? Okay. So when you just rubbing this, the work done, so against the friction is converted into heat energy. You can experience it. సో ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్రంలో మనం ఉష్ణం వేరే ఉష్ణం మెకానికల్ వర్క్ ఎట్లా మార్పు చెందుతుంది అనేది మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకుంటాం, వైస్ వర్సా. లేదంటే మెకానికల్ వర్క్, యాంత్రిక పని ఉష్ణంగా ఎలా మార్పు చెందుతుందో మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. అలాగే ఉష్ణ శక్తి ఇతర రూపాల్లోకి ఎలా మార్పు చెందుతుందో అనేది మనం ఈ ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్రంలో ముఖ్యంగా మనం తెలుసుకోబోతున్నాం అనమాట. సో హియర్ సిస్టమ్ అంటే వ్యవస్థ, తెలుగులో వ్యవస్థ. ఇది మనం తరచుగా ఈ పదం మనం వాడుతుంటాం. వ్యవస్థ అంటే సిస్టమ్. వాట్ యు మీన్ బై సిస్టమ్? సిస్టమ్ ఇస్ ఏ డెఫినెట్ క్వాంటిటీ ఆఫ్ మ్యాటర్ enclosed in a container. Usually what we do, say a gas taken in a cylinder, so with the help of some piston, with the support of piston, movable frictionless piston, that is generally we take it as a system. Definite quantity of matter enclosed in a cylinder, that is a system, isn't it? ఒక నిర్దిష్టమైనటువంటి పరిమాణము ద్రవ్యరాశి కలిగినటువంటి ఒక పదార్థము ఒక ఎన్క్లోజర్ లో, ఒక ఎన్క్లోజర్ ఒక పాత్రలో, ఒక మూసి ఉంచినటువంటి ఒక పాత్రలో తీసుకుంటే దాన్ని ఒక వ్యవస్థలుగా మనం పరిగణించుకోవచ్చు అనమాట. ఓకే, సో నౌ కమింగ్ టు ది సిస్టమ్స్, సో వీ కెన్ డిస్కస్ ఇట్ ఇస్ అ ఓపెన్ సిస్టమ్, క్లోజ్డ్ సిస్టమ్ అండ్ ఐసోలేటెడ్ సిస్టమ్, రైట్? ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్, what is an open system? Open system means here ఓపెన్ సిస్టమ్ లో అంటే ఇక్కడ మొత్తం శక్తి అలాగే పదార్థం అవి వినిమయం జరుగుతున్నట్టు వ్యవస్థకు అలాగే సరౌండింగ్స్ మధ్య. సో ఇన్ ఓపెన్ సిస్టమ్ ద ఎనర్జీ అండ్ మ్యాటర్ ఇస్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ సిస్టమ్ టు సరౌండింగ్స్. ఇట్స్ అ ఓపెన్ సిస్టమ్. ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ క్లోజ్డ్ సిస్టమ్, if it is a closed system, then only the energy is transmitted, energy is exchanged between the system and surroundings, whereas matter is not exchanged. That is a closed system. Closed system. Here, in a closed system, the energy is exchanged between the system and surroundings, and matter is not exchanged. The last one, isolated. Isolated means here neither energy nor matter is exchanged between the system and surroundings. But anyway, so the system in general, it is the matter, definite quantity of matter in a enclosed surface, enclosed container, right? Usually we consider a gas in a system of cylinder and then with the help of movable piston. That is a system. An open system means both energy and matter is exchanged with the system and surroundings. Then what do you mean by surroundings? System and then surroundings. Let me introduce the terms that we come across often. Surroundings. Surroundings means here the external objects that will influence the system, that is called surroundings. సో ఈ వ్యవస్థకు బయటన ఉండేటువంటి వస్తువులు దీన్ని ప్రభావితం చేసే సిస్టమ్ ను అంటే వ్యవస్థను ప్రభావితం చేసేటటువంటి ఆ వస్తువులని సరౌండింగ్స్ అంటారు అనమాట. సో పరిసరాలు. ఓకే, సో నౌ కమింగ్ టు ది క్లోజ్డ్ సిస్టమ్. సో యాజ్ ఐ ఆల్రెడీ టోల్డ్ యూ, ఇన్ క్లోజ్డ్ సిస్టమ్ here energy is exchanged with system and surroundings, but matter is not exchanged. And coming to the last one, neither energy nor matter is exchanged between the system and surroundings. This is about so different types of systems we come across. Okay, coming to the first one here, before we discuss it, in thermodynamics. So thermodynamic variables. So to know, to define, to specify the state of the system, right? So macroscopic variables of physical quantities that will decide the state of the thermodynamic system. Here, so volume, pressure, temperature, the mass, etc. They are called macroscopic properties of the matter. They decide the state of thermodynamic system. They are called the thermodynamic variables or thermodynamic coordinates. We can put it that way. Thermodynamic variables. If the thermodynamic variables so reach some steady state and remain same or constant, then we say thermodynamic equilibrium. So that means if the thermodynamic variables attain steady state and they don't change with time or independent of time, so then we say thermodynamic equilibrium. Then it is called thermodynamic equilibrium. So when you say thermodynamic equilibrium, so the thermodynamic coordinates or thermodynamic variables, so let's say volume, pressure and temperature, etc. remain same. They attain steady state. Then we say the system is in thermal equilibrium, isn't it? After that, we often get another words, chemical equilibrium, mechanical equilibrium, but these are not topics of concern here in thermodynamics. But anyway, just to introduce, chemical equilibrium means the system and surroundings will have same composition. Whereas here mechanical means there is no net force between the system and surroundings. Then it's called mechanical equilibrium. Now we are more concerned about thermal equilibrium in this chapter, thermodynamics. Here the thermodynamic variables, volume, pressure and the temperature will attain some steady state. They don't vary, they don't change with time or independent of time. Then we say the system is in thermal equilibrium. అయితే ఇక్కడ థర్మల్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం అంటే వ్యవస్థ సమతుల స్థితిలో ఉంది అంటే దానికి అంటే అర్థం ఏంటంటే థర్మోడైనమిక్ వేరియబుల్స్, థర్మోడైనమిక్ చరరాశులు, ఉష్ణగతిక చరరాశులు అనేటువంటి ఘన పరిమాణము, పీడనము, ఉష్ణోగ్రత స్థిరంగా ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. అంటే టైం కాలంతో పాటు మారకుండా స్థిరంగా ఉంటాయి. అప్పుడు ఆ వ్యవస్థ థర్మల్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉంది అని అంటాం అనమాట. ఓకే, కమింగ్ టు ద టాపిక్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ యాజ్ ఫార్ as your IP examination is concerned. So here zeroth law of thermodynamics. It is very important for your examination, IP examination. Zeroth law of thermodynamics. Yes, students, listen carefully. Zeroth law of thermodynamics. So now, suppose you consider a system like this. So and then here perfectly, here conducting wall, conducting wall, and then here A, B, and C are three systems, and then here A and B are separated with C by conducting wall. Here this one is a non-conducting separation or non-conducting. Okay, so now if two systems independently, say A and B are independently in equilibrium with the third system, say C, then these two systems A and B must be in thermal equilibrium with each other. It's very simple. So in a simple manner, if you want to put it, if two systems, say A and B, are thermally in equilibrium with the third system, let us say C, then these two, that means A and B, must be in thermal equilibrium with each other. This mathematical way, here A is equal to C, then B is also equal to C, but it implies that A must be equal to B. Mathematically, you can put it that way. But in thermodynamic sense, if two systems A and B independently, separately, they are in thermal equilibrium with a third system, say C, then these two systems A and B must be in equilibrium with each other. Equilibrium lo unte, then what does it mean? So here the temperature remains same. They attain same temperature, right? Isn't it? Okay. So తెలుగులో చెప్పాలనుకుంటే, సో జీరోత్ లా, సో ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర శూన్యాంక నియమం, రెండు వ్యవస్థలు, ఇక్కడ ఏ అండ్ బి అనేవి రెండు విడివిడిగా రెండు వ్యవస్థలు, మూడవ వ్యవస్థ అయినటువంటి సి తో ఉష్ణ సమతా స్థితిలో ఉంది అనుకుందాం. అప్పుడు ఈ రెండు వ్యవస్థలు అంటే ఏ అండ్ బి కూడా సో ఒకదానితో ఒకటి పరస్పరం ఉష్ణ సమతా స్థితిలో ఉంటాయి. ఇది సో జీరోత్ లా ఆఫ్ థర్మోడైనమిక్స్ అంటారు. దీన్నే ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర శూన్యాంక నియమము అంటారు. ఉష్ణ గతిక శాస్త్ర శూన్యాంక నియమం అంటే రెండు వ్యవస్థలు, అంటే ఇక్కడ రెండు అంటే ఏ అండ్ బి తీసుకుంటే అంటే రెండు విడివిడిగా మూడవ వ్యవస్థ అయినటువంటి సి వ్యవస్థతో కనుక ఉష్ణ సమతా స్థితిలో ఉన్నట్లయితే ఈ రెండు వ్యవస్థలు అంటే ఏ అండ్ బి కూడా సో ఉష్ణ సమతా స్థితిలో ఉంటాయి. దీన్ని ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర శూన్యాంక నియమం అని అంటారు అనమాట. ఈ ఫస్ట్ లా జీరోత్ లా ఆఫ్ థర్మోడైనమిక్స్ సో గివ్స్ ఐడియా అబౌట్ టెంపరేచర్. సో ఇట్ గివ్స్ అబౌట్ ది డిఫైన్స్ టెంపరేచర్. సో ద సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్ ఆఫ్ zeroth law of thermodynamics is it defines, it specifies, it tells about the temperature. ఉష్ణోగ్రత గురించి ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర శూన్యాంక నియమం తెలియజేస్తుంది అన్నమాట. సో నెక్స్ట్ కమింగ్ టు ఫస్ట్ లా ఆఫ్ థర్మోడైనమిక్స్. దిస్ అగైన్ very important for your IP examination. First law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. Dear students, listen carefully. So, ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర మొదటి నియమం, ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర మొదటి నియమం. శ్రద్ధగా వినండి ఇక్కడ. సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్, a system taken in a container. So let us say this is a system. Usually we consider a cylindrical vessel. So movable piston. This is a piston. Right? So now a gas enclosed with the help of a cylinder and then with the help of a movable piston. That is generally, so we take it as a system. So certain amount of heat you supply to the system. What happens? A part of that energy is utilized to increase its internal energy. The rest of the energy is absorbed so as the external work. The rest of the energy is used to do the external work. To put it in a simple manner, the quantity of heat supplied to the system is used to increase the internal energy, and then so rest of the energy is used as the external work. Isn't it? So the total quantity of heat supplied to the system is equal to the sum means addition, sum of the increase in the internal energy and the external work done by the system. You can put it this way. Suppose dQ is the amount of heat supplied to the system. Then out of this, some part of energy is used to increase its internal energy. Then the remaining amount of energy is used to do the work. So work done by the system, or work done by the system, or work done on the system. It's very simple mathematical form of first law of thermodynamics. The amount of heat, quantity of heat supplied to the system is equal to the sum. Sum means addition. Sum of the increase in the internal energy and the external work done. It's very simple. It is consequence of law of conservation of energy. In first year and the other chapter, so work, energy, power, there you might have discussed, you might have learned law of conservation of energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is simply transformed, converted from one form to another form. The total energy of an isolated system remains conserved or constant. So this first law of thermodynamics tells about law of conservation of energy. It is a consequence of law of conservation of energy. Heat, so here is observed as increase in the internal energy and the external work done by the system. First of all, what is the internal energy? Internal energy అంతరిక శక్తి. ఒక వ్యవస్థకు అందించినటువంటి ఉష్ణ శక్తి అనేది అది సో అంతర్గత శక్తిలో మార్పుకు మరియు సో బాహ్య పని జరిగినటువంటి బాహ్య పనికి మొత్తానికి సమానంగా ఉంటుందన్నమాట. తెలుగులో చెప్పాలంటే ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్ర శూన్యాంక నియమం ఒక వ్యవస్థకు అందించినటువంటి ఉష్ణం అనేది ఆ వ్యవస్థ యొక్క అంతర్గత శక్తి, అంతరిక శక్తి, ఇంటర్నల్ ఎనర్జీ, అంతరిక శక్తిలో పెరుగుదలకు మరియు బాహ్యంగా జరిగినటువంటి పని ఆ రెండింటి మొత్తానికి సమానంగా ఉంటుంది అన్నమాట. ఈ ఉష్ణగతిక శాస్త్రం మొదటి నియమం దేని తెలుస్తుంది, దేనిది శక్తి కన్జర్వేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఎనర్జీకి సంబంధించినటువంటి తెలియజేస్తుంది అనమాట. ఉష్ణం ఒక రూపం నుంచి ఇంకొక రూపంలోంచి మార్పు చెందినట్టు మొత్తం ఒక వ్యవస్థ యొక్క మొత్తం శక్తి స్థిరంగా ఉంటుంది అని తెలియజేస్తుంది అనమాట. సో ఓకే, స్టేట్ అండ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ ఫస్ట్ లా ఆఫ్ థర్మోడైనమిక్స్. ఇట్స్ అ వెరీ సింపుల్ అండ్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫర్ your IP examination. So listen carefully. The quantity of heat supplied to the system is used for two purposes. One is to increase its internal energy and then to do the external work. So heat supplied is sum. Sum means addition. Sum of the increase in internal energy and the external work done by the system. This is very very simple and very very easy. What is internal energy? అంతరిక శక్తి. అంతరిక శక్తి ఒక వ్యవస్థ తీసుకుంటే దాంట్లో మాలిక్యూల్స్ మధ్యలో ఆకర్షణ బలాలు ఉంటాయి. సో మొత్తం శక్తి అన్నమాట, ఒక వ్యవస్థ యొక్క మొత్తం శక్తి అంటే కైనెటిక్ ఎనర్జీ ప్లస్ పొటెన్షియల్ ఎనర్జీ పుట్ టుగెదర్ is called so internal energy. Again, kinetic energy, it can be translational energy, rotational energy, and then vibrational energy. All forms of kinetic energy. Total energy of the system, potential energy plus kinetic energy. Potential energy due to the molecular forces. Okay, so potential energy plus kinetic energy put together is called internal energy. When internal energy changes, so proportionally temperature also changes, isn't it? Okay, this is about first law of thermodynamics. Later we are going to use this first law of thermodynamics to establish relation between Cp and Cp. So learn it thoroughly. The quantity of heat supplied is equal to the sum of the increase in internal energy and the external work done. So mathematical form. So dq is equal to du plus dw. You will get it for 2 marks, this one. So state thermodynamics, first law of thermodynamics, and give the mathematical form. So you write dq is equal to du plus dw. What is dq? What is everything? You have to heat supply to the system. And du, the increase in the internal energy. dw, the external work done by the system. This is about first law of thermodynamics. Okay, so now coming to next topic. So molar specificate. Before that, what is specificate? Before that, what is heat? How you measure heat? What is the mechanical equivalent of heat and all those things? As we already studied in the earlier classes, lower classes, even 9th and 10th classes also, you are introduced heat and temperature and all those things. Heat is the form of energy. Heat is a form of energy in transit. Heat is the form of energy in transit. So it's always transmitted from a body at higher temperature to body at lower temperature. If you just keep two objects, hot body and cold body, in contact, heat will be transmitted from hot body to cold body. Or so heat always will be transmitted from high temperature region to low temperature region. So a raw example, you take a metal rod, say aluminum or copper or any metal, so put at one end in a flame, then other end you hold it. Obviously heat will be transmitted to other end, isn't it? So heat always will be transmitted from high temperature region to low temperature region. So form of energy transmitted due to the temperature difference. So this is about heat. Then heat is measured in CJ system, of course, calories, and then MK system, joules, J. And then temperature is the result. As you supply more and more heat to the system, proportionately its temperature increases. Your temperature represents the thermal condition of the body. So it will decide the direction of flow of heat, isn't it? Heat is the cause, temperature is the result, isn't it? So temperature, in order to measure in earlier chapters, you might have studied various thermometers, centigrade, Kelvin, and then, so of course, Fahrenheit, Reimer, and the relation between them, all those things you might have studied. Of course, heat is measured, so with the help of the calorimeter, isn't it? Okay, so come back heat and temperature, because you need the knowledge of heat and temperature even in this chapter as well. First law of thermodynamics, zeroth law of thermodynamics, all these deal with heat and then conversion of heat energy into internal energy and also the external work, etc. Okay, so come back. So before that, so specificate before that heat capacity. What is heat capacity? And then specific heat. Specific, these are very, very important for IP as well as specific heat competitive exams. It is generally heat capacity denoted by C, specific heat, let us say yes here. So what is heat capacity? So now the quantity of heat required to increase the temperature of the body by unity. So this C is denoted by dQ, the quantity of heat required to increase its temperature by 1 degree. 1 degree means 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin. Yeah. So dt, suppose you make it 1 degree centigrade, then C will be equal to dQ. Here C will be equal to dQ. The amount of heat, the quantity of heat required to increase the temperature of a substance. Temperature means entire substance. Temperature of the substance through 1 degree is called heat capacity. Now, what about specific heat? Specific heat is nothing but heat capacity per unit mass. You can put it in a simpler manner. Heat capacity per unit mass is called specific heat. So now, see here, the quantity of heat absorbed by a substance depends on the mass, specific heat of the body, and then temperature difference. Okay, I'll call it dt. So specific heat is given by dq divided by m into delta T or dt. So this expression, I'll write it again. So for better clarity. So here, విశిష్టోష్ణము, specific heat, విశిష్టోష్ణము అనేది ఎలా నిర్వచించవచ్చు? So here, the quantity of heat, see here, refer this S is dq or dq by m dt. Here m make it 1 unit and then delta T or dt, you make it 1 unit. So right, what happens? S will be equal to dq. So logically, you try to remember what is specific heat. The quantity of heat, the amount of heat required to increase unit mass of a substance through 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin. That is called specific heat. S is equal to dq divided by m delta T or dt, no problem. So here, so the amount of heat required in order to increase unit mass of a substance through 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin is called specific heat. So it's a characteristic property of the material. So it differs from material to material. So heat absorbed by a material depends on the mass of the substance, temperature difference, and also the specific heat of the material. Now coming to the SI units, very, very important. SI units are very, very important units and dimensional formula. So in SI system, joule is the unit for heat, and then kg for mass, and then temperature is measured in Kelvin. So you can put it this way: joule, kg inverse, Kelvin inverse is the unit of specific heat. So very, very, very important for competitive exams as well as IP examination. And also dimensional formula is also very, very important. Work and energy. Heat is a form of energy, isn't it? So I'll write directly work and energy are same. Work is nothing but force into displacement, isn't it? So it is m power of 1, L1, t power of minus 2, and then displacement is L. So from further simplification, it is m power of 1, L square, t power of minus 2. This is for heat energy divided by mass and the temperature, K or theta. So mm gets cancelled, so that we have m power of 0, L square, t power of minus 2, K inverse K power of, this is dimensional formula of specific heat, right? So I'll repeat here. So విశిష్ట ఉష్ణము, సో ఇక్కడ సో ప్రమాణ ద్రవ్యరాశి యొక్క ఉష్ణోగ్రతను 1 డిగ్రీ సెంటిగ్రేడ్ పెంచడానికి అవసరమైనటువంటి ఉష్ణ శక్తినే విశిష్ట ఉష్ణము అంటారు, స్పెసిఫిక్ హీట్ అని అంటారు అనమాట. ద క్వాంటిటీ ఆఫ్ హీట్ required to increase unit mass of a substance through 1 degree centigrade, that is called specific heat, right? Specific heat, so in simpler way, it is heat capacity per unit mass. Heat capacity per unit mass, whereas heat capacity, the total quantity of heat required to increase the entire substance, whole substance through 1 degree or 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin is called heat capacity. And heat capacity per unit mass is called specific heat, right? Okay.